Welcome back to the Rex Trailer Boomtown Studio. I'm TJ Horgan alongside Dylan Volman. This is the Bracketology issue of Back Talk Sports. We were just on the South Division talking about Kansas. We're on the North Carolina game. Right now, I believe we're going to try to get Max Block on the air pretty soon, freshman at Newhouse School of Journalism in Syracuse. But
Syracuse
right now,
fanatic.
Yeah. Right now we're talking about North Carolina versus Villanova. This is going to be a very interesting game to watch because Villanova did have some upsets in the Big East tournament. But right now I believe we have Max on. Max, how's it going?
It's going good, guys. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you liking the Newhouse School in Syracuse?
It's great so far. Classes are as tough as I thought they'd be, but everything I'm learning will definitely help me in the future, and I'm just grateful to be here.
Did YBA help at all in learning what you're doing right now?
Oh, of course. Just having that on-camera footage, that on-camera experience, and even the footage that I could show when I was applying, and now that I'm in the school, it's just a little bit extra that you have up on some of the other kids who never really got in front of the camera and never really had that real-life experience of being on air live with that red button lit up.
Max, what's it like going to a college where broadcasting legends such as Bob Costas have gone?
You know, it's interesting because, for example, I have a class in what's called Costas Corner, and it's a room named after him. And there's a Mike and Debbie Tirico room, and you just, everywhere you're walking around, you see these faces and these names that you grew up watching on TV, broadcasting your favorite sport. Sean McDonough, a nice New England guy for you. And you see their pictures and their names and their stories. And I mean, obviously you strive to be like them. Not everyone's as fortunate or as talented as them, but it's definitely good people to throw your name in the alumni system with.
Max, I can tell your voice is a little hoarse. You want to tell us what that's from?
Of course. So obviously being at Syracuse, I have to be a huge Syracuse Orange fan, especially with basketball and lacrosse, which is coming up, just started a couple weeks ago. So I was lucky enough to make it to New York City all the way from Boston to watch the last two games of the Big East tournament. So I got to see my Orange finally beat Georgetown, something we couldn't do the first two times this season. And then unfortunately I paid all that money and was there Saturday night when we decided to just totally shut off all gears in the second half of the championship game and lose to Louisville. But the voice is coming back. It's getting better by the day. So it was definitely worth it. It was definitely a lot of fun and a cool experience to be there for the last one ever.
That's good. Yeah.
Max, there are some people saying that Syracuse is a team that could potentially get upset. With your most unbiased opinion as possible, could you tell us how far you think Syracuse is going?
Well, so I do see why people are talking about Montana possibly upsetting the Cuse in the first game. They got plenty of perimeter shooters, a lot of guys who can stretch the floor. But I think Syracuse will move on. I think the experience of the team, obviously led by Brandon Trish, the senior, but just who they've played this season. They've had to play Louisville 3 times. They've had to play Georgetown 3 times. They've had a pretty tough schedule through the Big East, which I think got a lot more hate than it deserved. I know the Big Ten is definitely the premier college basketball conference, but the Big East, they're up there. They had 8 teams, I believe, in the tournament. So I see Syracuse handling their business against Montana. Then I see them playing, obviously, the winner of UNLV or California. I think UNLV, led by Anthony Bennett and Mike Mosier, 2 guys inside who can definitely really control the paint. I think that matchup in San Jose, I think that Syracuse can pull it off. How you beat the 2-3 zone of Syracuse, as Georgetown showed you throughout the season, Louisville showed you, you shoot the ball from the perimeter and you make it rain from 3. And UNLV is much more of a team centered around their big guys down low inside with Bennett and Mosier both pulling in double-digit rebounds almost every game. So I think Syracuse advances past that. Then they run into this team from Indiana who they've been pretty good this season, the Indiana Hoosiers. And unfortunately, as big a fan as I am and as much as I hope they can pull off this upset, I think that the Indiana Hoosiers end up taking down Syracuse Orange en route to their national championship.
Max, how long have you been filling out brackets for Bracketology March Madness?
I think it goes back a little bit. Growing up, I was a UNC fan, and that wasn't because they were the best team. Quick little story. I found a hat in my closet one day and had a foot on it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I started wearing a foot around. That was all the way back in the 05 time when Sean May and Raymond Felton were the players on UNC. So ever since 04, 05, which was 4th or 5th grade for me, I've been filling out these brackets. And I'll tell you, I think that I know more nowadays, but my brackets seem to get worse every year. So it just shows you that usually the person who knows the least about the sport is the one that ends up winning these bracket challenges.
So what's the farthest you've gotten in a bracket challenge?
I finished top 5 a couple of years. I had UNC winning back when they had the Ty Lawson team with Hansbrough and all of that. The only problem was that 50% of the people in the bracket also had UNC winning. But for example, last year I think I didn't have a single Final Four team right, and I mean, it just shows. I had Syracuse in the Final Four last year. They lost to Ohio State. I had UNC winning it all last year. And then Kendall Marshall obviously had the injury during the tournament, and they ended up losing to Kansas. So it just shows you that the tournament's its own monster. And no matter how confident I am right now that A is going to beat B and then B is going to beat C, it's really all up to luck once it gets to the tournament.
Max, being a big Syracuse fan, do you have any plans to drive out to San Jose and see the Cuse play?
Drive out to San Jose. I'd have to be on the road already, considering it's a Thursday night game. No, unfortunately, I'm a little bit busy with class and everything, so I don't think I'll be making that to San Jose. But a lot of my friends have been talking, if they do get to the Sweet 16 and they play Indiana, who they'd probably play, although NC State and Temple, don't overlook them. But if they made it that far, that game's in D.C., which is a little bit more reasonable of a drive. So maybe next weekend there will be some traveling plans. But I think I emptied my pockets a little bit paying for those Big East tournament tickets. Might have to take it easy this weekend.
Yeah. Max, you did say Syracuse was as difficult as you thought it would be. How hard is it? How difficult is it being in such a school as Syracuse, such a big-name school? What's the work like?
It's exactly what I expected, to tell you the truth. I mean, I worked hard in high school. I went to Westboro High School. They prepared me well, nice public school. And it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of time management. You don't have class for 6 hours a day like you do in high school. You don't go there at 7:20 and jump back on the bus at 2:30 or wherever your time goes at your high school. So it's just managing your time, managing your sleep, which once you get to college, you'll understand is real essential. But sort of budgeting time is what it's all about. So I have no problem getting my work done. It's obviously a little bit tougher than high school, but really not as much busy work. It's mostly stuff you want to be doing. You're pursuing your major. You get to pick your classes, so it's actually a lot of fun.
Do you have a favorite class this year, Max?
A favorite class. My favorite class would probably be my broadcast and digital journalism, which is my major, sort of the intro course to it. It's called BDJ, which stands for Broadcast and Digital Journalism 204. And all freshmen take it second semester. And it really gives you the first glimpse into what reporting is. And it's not just focused on sports, although I'll tell you, I want to say 11 guys in that class and 2 girls. And about 11 guys are all interested in sports, and the 2 girls are more about the fashion or the news or politics and stuff, although a couple of the guys go into politics and that. Yeah. But we have not touched sports once. We've talked to like police officers covering crimes and writing stories about that and broadcasting stories about that. Today we were just at the courthouse in Syracuse doing some like intro work with courts and how to handle that and all of the terminology you got to know. So although my dream job is to be on ESPN, they sort of train us to be a multimedia journalist in every sort of aspect of the field.
All right, thanks a lot, Max. We really appreciate your time. Go rest your voice.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right, on the other side, we have some more bracketology talk for you. We'll give you the rest of our brackets. We'll be right back.